To really go to the root of it, I think you would have to start. I would say when I think I was 8 years old. Sammy Davis Jr. introduced me to Quincy Jones. I'll never forget it. And that I heard him say something like that, and I just tucked it away subconsciously and never mentioned it. This is my first time mentioning it publicly. But I never thought about seeing Quincy again. So years later, Motown was preparing to do this movie called The Wiz. And it was with Diana Ross, myself, Nipsey Russell, and Horn. Barry Gordy recommended that I should play the Scarecrow, so I did. So we made this film, and I enjoyed it. And Quincy Jones happened to be the man who's doing the music. And now I've heard of Quincy before when I was in Indiana as a child, because my father used to buy jazz albums, and I knew him as a jazz musician. Rod Temperton came in the studio, and he came with this killer. This little German guy from Worms, Germany. This little white guy from Worms, Germany comes with this and this whole melody and the chorus, rock with you. Wow. So when I heard that, I said, okay, I have to really work now. So I first thing I presented was Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and that's the one I wrote for. I wrote Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, and I think it was how many did I do? I think I did 3 or 4 on Off the Wall. I'll think of them in a second. So every time Rod would present something, I would present something, and we formed a kind of friendly competition. But I love working like that because I used to read about how Walt Disney used to, if they were working on Bambi or any animated show, they'd put a deer in the middle of the floor and make the animators kind of compete on different styles of drawing the deer. So whoever had the most stylized effect that Walt liked, and he would pick that, and they would kind of compete. It was like a friendly thing, but it was competition because it breeds higher effort. So whenever Rod would bring something, I would bring something. He would bring something, I would bring something else. I always want to do music that influence and inspire people, each generation. I mean, well, let's face it. I mean, who wants mortality? I mean, everybody wants immortality. You want what you create to live, be it sculpture or painting or music or composition. Like Michelangelo said, you know, I know the creator will go, but his work survives. That is why to escape death, I attempt to bind my soul to my work. That's how I feel. I give my all at work. Because I wanted to just live and just give all that I had, you know? Yeah, it has to be that. What I do is when I work, I'll do a raggedy, rough version, just to hear the chorus, see how much I like the chorus. If it works for me that way, when it's raggedy, then I know you really go in. That's at home.
Is it?
That's Janet, Randy, me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Janet and I going, whoo, whoo. There it is. The dance was very important because we had a, Quincy calls me a nickname.
Smelly.
Smelly came from because, well, Spielberg calls me that because, especially then, I say some swear words now, especially then, you couldn't get me to swear. So I said, that's a smelly song. I mean, so great. You're engrossed in it. And so he would call me Smelly. Working with Quincy is just wonderful because he lets you experiment and do your thing, and he's genius enough to stay out of the way of the music. And if there's an element to be added, he'll add it. And he hears these little things, like for instance in Billie Jean, I came with this piece of a bass lick and the melody and the whole composition I brought. But then from listening, he'll add a nice riff. I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I used to always study composition. And it was Tchaikovsky that influenced me the most, I think. And of course, Debussy, who I love very much. But I love, like, if you take an album like Nutcracker Suite, every song is a killer. Every one. And I said to myself, why can't there be a pop album or an album with every... Because people used to do albums where you would get one good song and the rest were like B-sides, or they would call them album songs. And I would always say to myself, why can't every one be like a hit song? Why can't every song be so great that people would want to buy it, or you could release it as a single, you know, everyone could be a single. So I always tried to strive for that, and that was my purpose for the next album that I did. That was the whole idea. I wanted us to be able to just put anyone out that we wanted. Yeah, and I worked hard for it. But it broke my heart, but at the same time, it put it lit something that was just, oh my God. It said, I mean, I was like saying to myself, you know, I have to do something where it's refused to be ignored. I mean, and I came with the Thriller, and every time I was trying to always outdo myself, and Billie Jean, yeah, they said we won't play it. So Walter Yetnikoff, who was president of Sony at the time, he said, okay, we're pulling Streisand, we're pulling Chicago, and when they played it, it set the all-time record. And they were asking for everything we had. They said we're pulling Streisand, we're pulling Chicago, we're pulling Neil Diamond. That's what Walter Yetnikoff said. And after they played it, they were knocking our door down because it brought in. Then Prince came. It opened the door for Prince and all the other black artists who, because it was 24-hour heavy metal, which is a potpourri of crazy images. And they came to me so many times in the past, and they said, Michael, if it wasn't for you, there would be no MTV. They told me that over and over personally. I was at the studio editing Beat It. And for some kind of way, I happened to be at Motown studio doing it. I had long left the company of Motown. I was in, and I was there, and Susie Ikeda, who was a sweet, lovely Japanese lady who I adore. This is the lady who used to, when I was a little boy at Motown. She used to keep, her job was to keep my head in the microphone. When I had a little Apple box with my name on it, Michael Jackson. And this little Japanese lady's job was to keep my head in there because I like to dance when I sing. So she kept my head in the microphone. She happened to be at the studio, and she asked me what I was working on. I said, I'm editing this thing I just did. It was Beat It. And she watched it, and she said, she was catatonic. She said, oh my God. Some kind of way she told Barry Gordy, I think something happened with that. So they were happening to do, getting ready to do something with the Motown anniversary. And Barry Gordy came over, and he asked me, did I want to do the show, and I told him no. I told him no. I said no because the Thriller thing I was building and creating something I was planning to do, and he said to me, "What is the anniversary?" I said, and this is what I said to him. I said, "Okay, I will do it." I said, but this is what I said in these very words. I said, "I will do it if you," because I know it's all Motown artists and it's all Motown songs. I said, you have to let me do, I said, the only way I'll do it if you let me do one song that's not a Motown song. He said, what is it? I said, Billie Jean. He said, okay, fine. I said, you'll let me do Billie Jean? He said, yes. I said, okay, fine. So I remember I had like 2 or 3 days or something, and I rehearsed and choreographed and dressed my brothers. I choreographed them for the piece and picked the songs, put the medley. Not only that, you have to work out all the camera angles and I direct and edit everything I do. Every shot you see is my shot. I'm not joking. Let me tell you why I have to do it that way. I have 6 cameras. 1, 2, 3. Because when you're performing, I don't care what kind of performance you give, if you don't capture it properly, the people will never see it. And usually it's the most selfish medium in the world. The most directing and camera work is so selfish because you're filming what you want people to see, when you want them to see it, how you want them to see it, what juxtaposition you want them to see it. And so you're creating the totality of the whole feeling of what's being presented in your angles and your shots. So I had to set the camera, set the angles, edit it. Suzanne DePaz knows I go in and I edit every angle, and because I know what I want to see. I know when I want to go to the audience. I know when I want to come back, and because I know the emotion that I felt when I performed it. I try to recapture that same emotion when I cut and edit and direct. That's the idea.